go. And let's get this Instagram feed up. And we are ready to go on Instagram, on Twitch, on YouTube. I am Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics, you ask? Glad you asked, even if you didn't ask. All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics-related topics, including, but not limited to, aerodynamics, friction, drag, lift, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, elastic force, a whole range of science topics. After we have gone through and learned all of the science, conducted experiments to drive home those concepts, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student gets the opportunity to select a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything that they have learned in the course. And then once they select their cars, they weigh their cars, they check the speed of their cars, they check the year the car was manufactured. They put all of the information they can observe into a spreadsheet. And then once they have all of that information, once they've observed all of those things, then they set up a 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip, and we have a series of races, a little tournament, and they observe how their cars performed. Did their cars perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the opportunity, would they select that car again, or would they make a different selection based on their observations? So in the end, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars, we learn science. What could be better? If you would like more information about our science program, All About Aerodynamics, you can visit our website at aerodynamics.com, or you can go to AtTheTrack.live and you'll find a link there, or you can follow us on Instagram, Aerodynamics, and all the information you need to contact me is in the bio if you're interested in bringing All About Aerodynamics to your school or your organization or your special event. So, with that said, this is not All About Aerodynamics. This is All About Aerodynamics presents Wind Tunnel Wednesday. So what is Wind Tunnel Wednesday? Well, I was able to purchase the Funtech Labs 1/64th scale Windsible. It is a wind tunnel that is scaled to use Hot Wheels cars or 1/64th scale die-cast cars. So what we do is take cars, put those into the wind tunnel, turn it on, see how the air flows over, under, and around those cars, observe the aerodynamic properties and profile of those cars, and then we can kind of make some determinations about how we think those cars will perform. Then, on Saturday, we have AtTheTrack.live, and what we do is we actually race the cars, and you have the opportunity to select a car to race in our Saturday mini tournaments on AtTheTrack.live. And before you make your selection, putting the car in the wind tunnel is a good way to get an idea about how your car will probably perform on the track. It doesn't give you all the information you need, but it does give some good information that will help you to understand whether or not that car is going to be competitive with some of the other cars that we introduce. Now, you may be saying, well, how do I pick a car? How do I do that? Well, I'm going to tell you. You go to AtTheTrack.live right down there, and you're going to have 3 options. One is the YouTube stream link, one is the Twitch stream link, but the third most important link is the one that says choose a car. If you select that option, you will be taken to this page. And on this page, you will be able to take a look at all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack Live fleet. And as of right now, there are 872 cars in our fleet that have been cataloged. And so you can scroll through and you can take a look at these cars and you can decide which car you want to pick. Do you want to pick a character car? Do you want to pick a car that is designed after a piranha? Do you want to pick a car that's designed after a shark, or a car that is designed after Nemo, or your favorite Marvel character. We have Captain Marvel. We have Black Panther. There's Spider-Man. We even have Thor car. We have Superman. We have plenty of Batmobiles. Lamborghinis. We have plenty of, if you think this one, the Lamborghini Gallardo LP 570-4 Superleggera. If you think this is the car that's going to beat out all the others, then all you have to do is take the number of the car, in this case 134. You take that, drop it into the chat, and then I will pull the car, and on Saturdays I'll pull the car and we'll race it. Today, if you drop that number in the chat, I will pull the car and we will put it in the wind tunnel and take a look at the aerodynamic profiles of that car, and you can get an idea. Maybe you're stuck in between two different cars you're considering. Well, we will put both of those cars in the wind tunnel. You can take a look, make your decision. Then you'll be ready to go on Saturday when we are racing the cars. So that is what we are going to do, because on Saturdays when you pick a car and you pick your car and we enter it into the tournament, if your car wins the tournament, then you are going to have the opportunity to go up against our fastest in fleet car. And our fastest in fleet car is the car that has been the champion, won the tournament the previous week, and in the case of our current fastest in fleet car, it has won the Saturday AtTheTrack.live tournament for the last couple of months. And it is this car. Oh, no, wrong camera. It is this car. It is the Blitz Speeder. The Blitz Speeder is absolutely the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet, and I don't know that there is a car that is going to beat this one. We have basically seen the Blitz Speeder be our dominant fastest in fleet car for if we add in last year, when it was fastest in fleet car for about 4 months, and then this year it's been fastest in fleet car for about 2.5 months. The Blitz Speeder is not looking like it is going to be beaten. However, it was beaten last year by the Gazella R, but that loss has come back and avenged that loss and beaten the Gazella R and continued to be pretty dominant. And we haven't really seen any cars that have been close to the Blitz Speeder in terms of just a competitive race. That's, at this point, we're not even, I think, looking for a car that's going to beat the Blitz Speeder may be being a little too hopeful and optimistic. Right now, I would just settle for a good, solid, competitive race. And if we can get that, then I'll be happy. But it's going to take a very special car to do that. So what we do every week is we take the Blitz Speeder, because it is our fastest in fleet car, it is the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet, that's always the first car that goes into the wind tunnel. Because essentially, if you're going to find a car that is going to outperform the Blitz Speeder, it's probably going to need to have a similar aerodynamic profile to the Blitz Speeder. So we begin with the Blitz Speeder. Start with the champ. So we'll switch over to the let's switch over to the wind tunnel, and we will drop the Blitz Speeder in here. And let me make sure I've got it lined up properly. And what you see with the Blitz Speeder, which you will see, is how the air flows right over the body of this car. And until you see some of the other cars, it might not be as impressive. But essentially, the air is going to hit this car right at the front, and it's going to flow up over the hood, right to this windshield, right up to the top, right across this roof line, and it's going to stay, the airflow is going to stay right along, following the contours of the car, right across here, right to this back wing, and then off the wing. And what you are looking for when we put other cars in here today, and you'll see it, is you're looking for points where the air separates from the body of the car, where it's hitting the hood. Usually it's right along, about some point along the roof line for most cars, where the air starts to separate. When the air starts to separate, it changes the pressure, and there's high pressure at the front. When the air starts to separate, it creates an area of low pressure, and that area of low pressure ends up with creating pressure drag, which essentially is working against the forward momentum of the car. So any car that can reduce the amount of pressure drag by having a shape that allows the air to adhere to the contours of the body and just flow along the body is going to do better. And the Blitz Speeder does that better than any other Hot Wheels car that we have seen so far. And I'm going to just push it up just a little bit. Pretty soon I won't have to do this because the company that makes the Windsible has created a 1/64 scale dyno, which is basically a device that has rollers so that it will not only lift the car up, but and make the wheels spin, but also it will allow me to position the cars without having to worry about it rolling forward. We're going to get a little, there we go, that little puff of air comes out. So let's go up, and we always start right at about 67 miles per hour. The speed limit in a lot of places in the country. But we don't really see all that much because this is too low of a speed. So these cars, when we put them in our wind tunnel, when we put them on our track, they're firing out. I designed the launcher to fire these cars out with a lot of force, and they come out and they are ready to go. And I mean, they are moving at speeds that are significantly faster than 67 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and turn this up and see what we see. Okay, so what we're watching and what we're going to continue to look for even as the speed increases, this first stream of air. It's going to hit the front of the car and then it's flowing up over the top. You see the second stream is hitting the car and also flowing up, and so you see this little, that little dark line of separation. But as the speed is turned up, we're now at 134 miles per hour. We'll start to see separation, and that dark line is the separation between the second airstream and the first airstream. And as we turn it up, it will get a little more pronounced. So now we're up to 161 miles per hour, and you can clearly see the second airstream right here, following the lines of the body. But what you're not seeing is this first stream of air separating from the body at all. It is following the contours right up over the hood, the windshield, the roof line, and right across the back, right to this tail. And then we have some air that's coming up from under the bottom, which is creating this kind of swirling vortex, but that is not that's not uncommon, and it's not the thing to be primarily concerned with. What we're looking at is the aerodynamic profile of the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet. And we're going to turn this up. We're now at 188 miles per hour. And again, the air is hitting the front of the car, creating an area of high pressure, pushing up, and just following these lines. When we put other cars in there, you will see the air separate from the body of the car, usually around the top middle of the roof line. That is not the case with the Blitz Speeder. and the Blitz Speeder is able to reduce pressure drag, and any cars that can reduce the forces acting against their forward momentum are going to do better on the track, and we see that every Saturday with the Blitz Speeder putting in dominant performance after dominant performance. And we can even take this up to 215 miles per hour. And we are not seeing that first airstream. We're not seeing it separate from the body of the car. Right there. It's just following right along. And this is something we'll look at a diagram later of the Coanda Effect that describes how a moving fluid like air tends to follow a curved surface, and that is exactly what's happening. So this is the Blitz Speeder. This is, I mean, the fact that the car is kind of a yellow gold is appropriate because it is the gold standard of Hot Wheels cars, and we just haven't seen anything like it, and I don't know when we will. So this is the Blitz Speeder. This is our current fastest in-fleet car, and until someone can pick a car that is faster, I don't see the Blitz Speeder getting beat, because we haven't even seen the Blitz Speeder really have much in the way of competition. So it's gonna be tough to beat that car, very tough. So the Blitz Speeder is our fastest in-fleet car. It is the one that you are trying to beat. So if you are going to pick a car that is faster than the Blitz Speeder, you're going to want it to have a similar aerodynamic profile. Now, because the Blitz Speeder has been so dominant and so hard to beat, we have had people making picks that are a little bit out of the box, and I can't blame anybody for making those kinds of picks, because the Blitz Speeder has been so dominant that you really do have to try and pick a car and find a car that is different, that it's going to have a chance. And sometimes that means making wild picks. Well, last Saturday we had someone make a pretty wild pick considering what we're trying to do, and he picked this truck, the Haulinator. And he picked the Haulinator with the idea that, you know, you've got to try something different to beat the Blitz Speeder. Just picking standard cars has not really, it hasn't really worked. And so he went completely out of the box, picked the Haulinator. The Haulinator's size, it didn't really have the aerodynamic profile, but we had seen in recent weeks, we had a bus and a fire truck, both, you know, large rectangular vehicles that probably shouldn't have done very well on the track, that actually surprised us and took some races, did well, were competitive. So he picked the Haulinator, and it did okay. If you want to see exactly how it performed, you can visit our YouTube channel and then just select the Live tab, and you will be able to see how the Haulinator performed. But it was not anything to write home about. However, I did want to put it in the wind tunnel just to take a look and see what the aerodynamic profile of this truck is. Now, I think unlike the Blitz Speeder, what we're going to see is, because it's got this big frontal area, we're going to see the air sort of pile up here in the front. Then it's going to have to go over, under, and around. And as it pushes up over the top, the air that goes over the top is going to hit this part, and then it's just going to fly off in this direction. It is not going to drop down and follow the contours of the truck bed. It's definitely not going to do that. The air is just going to separate, and once again, we'll have an example of the pressure drag, which is going to always be a problem for cars, especially if they are trying to be fast on our track, trying to chase down the Blitz Speeder. That is not what you want. So let's go ahead and put the Haulinator into the wind tunnel. Take a look here, see what we've got with the Haulinator, and lining that up. And I think it's just going to be pretty. I mean, even before we run this, there's just some things you already know. And cars with a big frontal area, that's a problem. Because the air is going to have a more difficult time getting over, under, and around that big frontal area. And it's just going to create a resistance here. And that is going to lead to this car being slowed down with the pressure drag. So let's go ahead and lock this in and crank it up. See what we get with the Haulinator. All right, let's get up to our sort of baseline, our baseline speed of 67 miles per hour. And even at this low speed, you can get a good sense of what the air is doing and how it is hitting the front of this truck and then having to come around. You see some of the air that's coming around the bottom is wrapping around the bumper and coming down around the tire, which you can kind of see there. The other air that's flowing over the top is flowing here, and then because it's so slow, it is appearing to drop down. But as we turn the speeds up, you'll see that the air is just going to be flowing right from the cab across the back. So let's go ahead and turn this up. We are up to 107 miles per hour. And what we are seeing is pretty much what we expected to see. And we're getting an idea of why the Haulinator performed the way the Haulinator performed. The air essentially, at this point, as it comes over the top, just detaches from the body of the car. It's not flowing down to the truck bed. It's just this, you can see this swirling kind of mass of air right here. But ultimately, this is a whole big area of low pressure right here. This is an area of high pressure, and the air is going to move from high to low, so it's going to be going against the forward momentum of the car. As we're looking, the pressure differential, the pressure drag, would cause resistance from the left side to the right. Meanwhile, the truck, when it's on the racetrack, is moving from right to left. So that's where the problem comes into play. But let's turn this up to 161 miles per hour, and it becomes a little easier to see what's happening with the air as it passes over, under and around the Haulinator. Let's go ahead and turn this up to 188 miles per hour. And you just see that the turbulent airflow, and I think if I move this, you might be able to get a better look, where you can see how the air is just coming off the top of the truck and flowing just basically all the way off. It's detached completely from the body, and that is what we expected to happen. And it is not the aerodynamic profile that you want, and it does explain, you know, why the Haulinator performed the way that it did. And we're going to take that one, take this back down here. Take this back down to 0, the Haulinator. Not exactly the ideal pick to race, but again, sometimes you have to make those choices. You have to try and go out of the box if you want to beat the champ. So I'm not mad at the pick of the Haulinator, but it was definitely a long shot. We also had, speaking of long shots, we had this one. We had the Shark Bite, which it was introduced into the fleet, and I don't know that the expectations were high of this one either, specifically because it's got these little, the gimmick with this car is it's got these little tabs right here that you see on the wheel, and every time those tabs go around, they hit this little plastic switch on the bottom jaw of the shark, and it makes the mouth open and close as this car is rolling down the track. It just does this sort of chattering thing. Well, every time that tab hits that tab to make the jaw lift up, it's slowing down the momentum of the tires. It's not allowing the tires to roll freely, and if the tires can't roll freely, if they're obstructed, if they are slowed down, then obviously that is going to impact the overall speed that this car is able to achieve. So didn't really have any kind of high hopes for this car. The mouth being open, I'm going to put it in the wind tunnel because I want to see what happens when the air hits this area, because essentially it's just creating a larger frontal area, similar to what we saw with the Haulinator, but it is not, it's just another thing to look for. You want to see anything on a car that could impede the flow of air, and this is definitely one thing, this big gaping open shark mouth. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Shark Bite in the wind tunnel. Get this thing lined up, and you can actually kind of see as it rolls what happens with the mouth, and those tabs end up closing the mouth. That's how this thing works. So now the trick is for me to get this lined up properly. So that it's not rolling forward. That's pretty good. Now we'll see what happens when I lock this thing down. Hopefully it will stay in place. All right, we've got it locked in, the Shark Bite. Let's go ahead and turn this thing on and see what we see. All right, so we are up to our basic 67 miles per hour. And you can see right here, look at the second airstream. It's coming in right into the mouth, hitting the mouth, and you can see how this dark line between the first stream and the second stream, it's a little wider here, and then as it gets to the mouth, it gets a little more narrow because this top airstream is getting pressed down because it's forced into the mouth area. So let's go ahead and turn this up a little bit. We're up to 107 miles per hour, and now it's very clear. You can see the air is coming out, and you can see the separation between the air streams, and then when it gets here, boom, the second airstream is getting pushed down as it enters this mouth area, and then the air is hitting the back of the mouth, and then it has to flow around. So you see some air coming out of the bottom, there's some flowing around the top edges, and it's just making it clear why this car did not really have a chance. I mean, that gimmick with the wheels and the little tab hitting the wheels was definitely a problem and an issue, but it wasn't the main. I mean, that was the main problem. But then even if we get beyond that, even if this car had standard wheels, the fact that this mouth is hanging open, that air is just hitting that and it's just trapping it. And when we looked at the Blitz Speeder, there is nothing on the Blitz Speeder to really impede the airflow. The air is able to just flow right up, over, under, and around that car with pretty easily. So that is kind of ideal. This is not ideal. Hey Christopher, how are you doing? I'll pull those cars. So this was the Shark Speeder, and even if we turn this up, I mean the Shark Bite, and we already saw the problem with that. I was just curious to see exactly how the air would flow. But interestingly enough, we do have at least two other shark related cars, and one that's a popular pick with the students is this one, the Shark Bite. Wait, no, this is the Shark Cruiser? It is, let me tell you, no, this is the Shark Hammer. The Shark Hammer 2.0. That's what this one is. And like I said, it is a popular pick, and I am interested to see what this car looks like in the wind tunnel, because of the Shark cars that we have, I think this one would probably have the best chance to do well in the race. The only problem I have with this car, as far as racing on our track, is this fin in the back. Cars that do well tend to have a flat back end that presses up against the launching block and then gets fired out. Cars with just a single point like this touching the launching block can get some very weird releases from the launcher, and getting a bad launch pretty much guarantees that the car is going to bounce around the track. And if the car is bouncing from side to side, Isaac Newton's third law of motion, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, then the car is going to start bouncing around the track, and that friction that it gains every time it pushes up against one side of the track or the other is just going to slow the car down. And if the car slows down, then that's pretty much a wrap, especially when you're talking about facing off against some of our faster cars like the Blitz Speeder. You just can't afford to have any problems. You can't have any problems with the launch. You can't have anything that's going to increase the drag. And we are going to take a look at this car in the wind tunnel right now. And this is an ID car, which I don't believe Hot Wheels makes the ID cars anymore. But those were the cars that had a little chip sensor in there, and that interacted with special ID tracks and accessories, which I didn't have any, but I have a bunch of the ID cars because I thought they were pretty cool. So let's go ahead and put the Shark Hammer 2.0. And the other thing is, because this is an ID car, it is a premium car. And that's what I loved about the ID line, is that they were premium cars, meaning they used a lot of metal was used on the cars. The wheels had more detail than you typically see on most of the cars. They were just very detailed. But the best part for me is that they had plastic wheels, so they could race on our track. The problem with most of the premium cars is that they have rubber wheels, and the rubber wheels create too much friction and don't allow the cars to perform well on our track. So the ID line was just great because you had premium cars, but they had plastic wheels. And this one just slid forward a little bit, so see if I can get it to stay in place. All right, now we've got it in there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Shark Hammer 2.0. And get that. So I'm already seeing something interesting. So we're seeing, even at this low speed, and as we turn it up we'll see more, it looked like the air was separating from the body of the car right past that front fin, right up here. Let's go ahead and turn up the speed, and then we'll be able to see a little more, a little better. So now we're up to 107 miles per hour. And it's very interesting because you see right here that fin, you see how the air hits that, and it's just having to, there's that adjustment. There's like going right over that, right over the fin. But that fin is also just slicing right through. Let's go ahead and turn this up. We're now at 134 miles per hour. And again, what we're seeing is the air, it's hitting the front of the car, coming up the front, and right as it gets past this fin, it's not continuing to follow the body lines of the car down. It is coming up, and we can see it here because the second airstream and the first, they're pulling up right here. And like we said, that creates a pressure differential, and that pressure differential results in pressure drag, which works against the forward momentum of the car. We're up to 174 miles per hour, and now you can really start to see that separation. The airflow is separating from the body of the car right here. You can see it. So we've got low pressure area right here, high pressure in the front, and that is not really what you want to see. So let's go up to 201 miles per hour, and now the airflow separation is just even more clear. Right there, you can see that the air is just detaching from the body of the car. And that is not what you really want to see. I'll take this back down to 174, and I am going to pull Christopher's cars. Let's see, we're talking about the Jaguar XE SV Project 8 and the Honda Civic. I'll pull those cars, and then we'll take a look at those. And now we've got that. Hey Virgo, no problem. I know that you are, even if you're not here, you're here in spirit, but I'm glad you're here. And I'm gonna check out what you're doing as soon as I finish up here. And we are going to we're gonna check out Christopher's picks. He's got 2, and this is what I encourage people to do if they are deciding between cars, trying to figure out which is the one they want to go with. If you have 2 different cars that you're considering, then this is the place to check it out, because while the wind tunnel isn't going to tell you everything you need to know, it's going to show you things that are going to help you kind of figure out how the cars are going to perform on the track. And for example, I'm going to take a look at this and this. So if we start at the bottom, the Coanda Effect is what I'm usually referring to when I'm talking about we're looking for the air to follow the curved surface of the car. And that is usually what happens. But then at some point, on most cars, the airflow, like we just saw with the shark hammer, the airflow separates from following the lines of the car. And as soon as that happens, it changes the air pressure situation. And when that air pressure situation changes, that means that you're going to have pressure drag. So you're going to have the air basically working against the forward momentum of the car. And if you look at the diagram on the top, you'll see that when the air hits the front of the car, it creates an area of high pressure. And then the air has to move over the top of the car and under the bottom. So the air moving under the car is moving faster, and that creates low pressure. And that's basically a result of the Venturi effect, where air speeds up when it flows through a constricted area. But the air flowing across the top of the car is moving slower, and it creates high pressure. So the pressure is always trying to move from the area of high pressure to the area of low pressure. So if we're talking about just looking at the car right here in the diagram, the air on the top is trying to move to the bottom of the car, to wrap around the bottom, which is why there are side skirts. That's what side skirts are designed to do. They're designed to prevent that air flow from moving from top to bottom. That's basically what they're for. They look kind of cool on certain cars, but they do have a function at high speeds. But the other thing we're concerned about is the area of high pressure in the front of the car. And then when the air separates from the body, it creates an area of low pressure. And that means, again, the pressure is trying to move from the area of high pressure to the area of low pressure. So if the high pressure is at the front of the car, which is on the right, and the low pressure is at the back area of the car, which is on the left, then that means that the pressure is going to be trying to move, the pressure drag is going to be moving from right to left. But the car is trying to go from left to right. So you can see that's why pressure drag, can slow a car down. And it is what you want to avoid. And it's not, you can't necessarily avoid it completely. But when we put the cars in the wind tunnel, you can get an idea for how much pressure drag is probably going to impact your car and your pick, because we can see the airflow. And so that's really the point of doing this, is to get an idea and understanding about how these forces, these aerodynamic forces, impact the car's performance. When we race the cars, cars win, cars lose, but then we have to ask why. And there's so many different factors that go into it. Weight, design, and all of that. So being any car that can reduce the 3 forces that are impacting the car, which are friction, drag, and gravity, any car that can reduce the impact of those is going to continue to move faster down our track for longer periods of time, and that's it. So let's go ahead and take a look at these last two cars. These are Christopher's picks, and first off, he is looking at this Jaguar XE SV Project 8, and I like the looks of this car. It is a traditional car in every regard. It's based off a real car, and we have had cars based on real cars do well on the track. It is not exclusively fantasy cars. It's just lately fantasy cars like the Blitz Speeder have been dominant, but we have had cars based on regular cars do well. I like that this car has this wing, this flat wing at the back, because that is going to give it a good solid launch. It's going to a lot of surface area. Touching the launching block always helps give better, more consistent launches. We have the roof area, and we're going to see if the air starts to separate. I doubt that the air will follow this line all the way down, but it may. But I have a feeling the air is we're gonna start to see separation right about here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this Jaguar. This is a really nice car. Some of these Hot Wheels cars, I always wonder, they do put some extra detail in some, even on the basic cars, the mainline basic cars. Sometimes you'll just see some where it looks like they put in very little design effort, and then others where they add in lots of extra details. I don't know how those decisions get made, but hey, this is a good looking car. Let's go ahead and turn the wind tunnel up. We have got 67 miles per hour, which is where we start, just basic highway speeds. And you can see that this car, like a traditional car, has this frontal area where the air is building up, and you can see it build up right there as it flows over. But this is still low speed, so let's turn this up a little bit and see what we get. And we're still seeing, again, that this is at 107 miles per hour. The air kind of piling up right there in the front. I'll turn this so you can see the miles per hour as well. And let's go ahead and turn this up, see what we see. 121. So the air is, I can start to see some separation right here at the back end of the car, but it's not so bad that I think that this is going to have a particularly negative impact on the car. And as we kind of turn the speed up, yeah, I don't see anything that is overly concerning about this car. I think that I would expect a pretty solid performance. I don't know that I think this car would be faster than some of our significantly faster cars at the kind of upper level, but this is not bad. Not bad at all, because again, where the airflow is happening, or the separation, let's turn this up to, we'll go up to 188. The separation is happening in this area. So it is going to create that lower pressure, high pressure at the front, low pressure at the back. That means the pressure is going to be pushing against the car right here, that pressure drag. The Blitz Speeder reduces pressure drag and has to deal with friction drag, which is when the air is actually moving across the surface of the object. But this is not bad. This is not bad. I don't know if I would pick this car to win the tournament, on Saturday, but I think it would be competitive. I think that's not a stretch. It's just just seems like a good solid pick. And I think it would be good. But Christopher is choosing between, he's got two cars in mind. So we're going to take a look at the other car, and you're asking, do I have the Speed Dozer and Drone Duty? I don't think I have the Speed Dozer. It may have been, if it's the one I'm thinking about, it may have been too wide to fit in the launcher, but I'll have to look it up and double check. And then Drone Duty sounds familiar, and so that may be a car that I have in storage, but I haven't put in the fleet yet. This is the other one that Christopher is considering, the 2018 Honda Civic Type R, and this sort of standard hatchback. Again, I don't think that I don't see anything that suggests to me this car wouldn't be a decent solid pick. But we're gonna put it in the wind tunnel, and then we will see whether or not it has the aerodynamic profile to make Christopher select it, or if he goes with the Jaguar. I think, again, with this one, I think we're going to see the separation of the air right about here. And with a standard car, you notice that the angle of the windshield is traditional. It's like in the real world version of the car. Whereas when you get into the fantasy cars, they don't have to follow the same rules. So if you take, obviously, this shark hammer, there's nothing about this that suggests anything related to a real car other than the fact that it has four wheels. So cars that do have to stick to the real world specifications are sometimes at a disadvantage, but not always. So let's go ahead and put this in the wind tunnel and take a look. I think Christopher, even before he sees it in the wind tunnel, he's saying that he's going with the Jaguar. So, all right, but we're going to take a look at this Honda anyway, since we've already got it here. And I'm telling you, I cannot wait to get that dyno from Funtech Labs. I saw they had an Instagram post that said that they made some modifications, and people who have already ordered them should be receiving them this month. So this month, there's only like 2 more weeks left, so I'm hoping to have it pretty soon, because it'll allow me to raise the cars up so that we can see more of what happens when the air hits below the car. And also it'll make use of more of the available air streams in the wind tunnel, because right now we're pretty much only dealing with the first 2, sometimes 3. All right, here we go. We have the Honda Civic. I think this is the Type R, and we are at our basic 67 miles per hour, just as cruising highway speeds. But let's turn it up, because our cars do not move at cruising highway speeds. The launcher that I designed fires these cars out at simulated speeds of 300 plus miles per hour. So drag is a huge factor, because the faster objects move through the air, the more drag is a factor. Drag increases with speed. So let's go ahead. We're at 107 miles per hour. And now 134. And I was, as we turn this up, it seems like I was a little early, so I predicted that we'd see the airflow separation about here. But no, where we're seeing it, the air's hitting the front, coming across the hood, up the windshield to the roof, and then it separates here. And we just see it separate off and go straight across the back over the top of that wing. And that's what we're seeing. So there is separation, but not until this area here, which is pretty far back on the car, so I wouldn't worry about that so much if I picked it. But I just think, again, with these standard traditional cars, that they just don't have the advantage of having the freedom of design that the fantasy cars have, to sort of ignore traditional having to have space for a driver on the left side, and so the fantasy cars can get away with a little more. Let's turn this up to 188 miles per hour, and it is, all it's doing is just sort of highlighting what we were already seeing at some of the lower speeds, which is the air is detaching from the body of the car in this area, flowing over that wing and then off the car, and creating that area of low pressure right there. So we are seeing exactly what we thought. Now, what does that really tell us about how this car will perform on the track? It doesn't tell us, I would say it doesn't tell us a lot. What it does tell us is that this car is unlikely to beat out some of the fantasy cars that have the advantage of more sleek designs. And these cars that have the traditional design are just not going to be able to overcome this, which is what we're seeing with the Blitz Speeder, which is just that extremely low angle windshield. So that air, as we saw in the wind tunnel, that air hits the hood, slides right across there, right up the windshield, and this back area, there's actually no drop off. If we look at a car like the Honda right here, what we see is that the back area, there's a drop off where it goes down to the back windshield for most cars. And we saw that on the Jaguar. We see it on all the standard cars that are designed after real cars. And there's a drop off. With the Blitz Speeder, there's no drop off. It goes from the roof. The roof pretty much extends straight all the way back until it gets to this wing. So the air, usually on most of these cars, we see the air start to separate where the roof line begins to dip down towards the back windshield, and then the air separates. With the Blitz Speeder, that never happens. That air stays right there, right to the tip of that wing. And I think that is part of the difference that we see when these cars are going down the track. The Blitz Speeder seems to never lose speed going down the track. The other cars, whether it's due to friction or gravity and their weight, they seem to slow down toward the back end. The Blitz Speeder continues and keeps a high level of speed throughout the entire race, and we have seen the outcome. We see the outcome every single week. So it looks like we have at least one pick. Roughshod made a pick as well. He made his pick last Saturday, and I would have pulled that car to put it in the wind tunnel, but That's the car he's going with anyway, so we'll just see what it does on the track on Saturday. And of course, you have the opportunity to select a car. You can go to AtTheTrack.live and select the choose a car option, and you will be taken to our page that currently has 879 cars listed and ready for you to take a look at. Of those cars, all you have to do is find the one that you think will be faster than the cars that I introduce, and then you can take the number of that car. If you think it's this Mercedes AMG GT, you would take the number, in this case 185. You would drop that into the chat and I would pull that. This is another ID car, another premium car with plastic wheels. Great. I didn't know, I kind of wish I'd bought more of these cars, but I have a number of them, maybe about 10 different ones of the ID cars. But anyway, you just take the number, drop it in the chat on Saturday, and I will pull the car. We will be up here at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, and whatever time it is in the time zone you are in. Let's see. Why don't I pull out the drone duty? I don't know if I have drone duty, that Hot Wheels car. It's not in the fleet right now. I'll have to take a look. I'll look it up after I'm done, and I'll see if I recognize it, because sometimes I'll recognize a car that I bought before and it's just in the it's in storage, so I don't know necessarily where it is because the way the cars are just stacked up. But I'll take a look, and if I can get a hold of one before Saturday, then sure, we'll bring it into the fleet and race it. And other than that, I think we are good to go. So yes, go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, find the car you want to race, and then join us back here on Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific for At The Track Live. I will introduce new cars into the fleet. We will race cars that you pick. We'll have a tournament, see which car comes out on top, and then that car will have the opportunity to take on the Blitz Speeder, which, I mean, at this point, the Blitz Speeder, come on. If you haven't seen the Blitz Speeder race, you can go to our YouTube channel, click the live tab, look at any of the races, or better yet, just join us on Saturday and you can see for yourself live and in person, and maybe you are going to be the person to find that car to finally beat the Blitz Speeder. We'll see. So, for all about aerodynamics, for Wind Tunnel Wednesdays, and for At The Track Live, I am Coach James, and until Saturday, I will see you at the races.